Welcome back to Voices from the Field. We are very lucky to be here today with Erika Kimball. Erika, welcome.
Thank you, Brad. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, thanks. Would love for you to just tell us a little bit about you to start off. Thanks.
Yes, I am a nurse and a sustainability leader, and I am the founder and CEO of a consultancy that provides sustainability strategies, programs, communications for hospitals and healthcare. I got into the business as a nurse. I generated a lot of waste and noticed the environmental footprint of healthcare while I was doing my day-to-day job, and started working on solutions very much as a volunteer on my nursing unit, and just kept at it. And so I grew the business very much organically, just from something that I was very interested in. We're a growing team. And so I am happy to say that I was part of the cohort in the Regenerative Change Management course, and I'm happy to be here today.
Thank you. Yeah, you were definitely an all-star for us. We were happy to have you, and as I've mentioned many times, we've used your example actually in our course, in our cohort, to talk about some of the challenges that you deal with internally with hospitals and the people that you're engaging with. So maybe we could start there if you want. I was going to ask you what kind of insights you have, but I know we've talked a little bit about the three horizons, and in that context of you living in multiple horizons simultaneously. So why don't we just start there?
Sure. The healthcare industry is built for stability by design, and that's why you walk in the door and get reliable care. That's what you want from an industry. And so when you're looking at things like how do we build sustainability? How do
Mm,
we address our carbon footprint? It takes a while for healthcare to change. Within that model, healthcare is built on structure and standards, um, very specific rules, and they're there for a purpose. That being said, to drive change in a hospital, you really do have to have a grand vision. Um, and so that's really looking at that third horizon. Where are we going? What's the potential for healthcare as the industry that is, has a mission for community well-being? What could we possibly bring to the sustainability movement, and what could the sustainability movement bring to the healthcare industry? Getting those things done on a day-to-day basis, you really have to go back into the first horizon and start with those rules and standards and the demands of delivering high quality, reliable day-to-day care. And
mm,
so, of course, in that second horizon there is really where you're pushing to create new programs, evidence-based quality improvement initiatives based on those H1 principles that are really driving us towards that grand vision of sustainability. And so it was nice to take this model and really apply it to the way that sustainability practitioners like myself operate in healthcare. It gave me a map so that I could see where I was in the process. I did feel a little more grounded. So,
that's great to hear. So there was, yeah, a reference point that something you were already doing, but now there was a model behind it that could help you kind of differentiate sometimes the voices in the room that you're hearing and the different worldviews and perspectives that someone standing in front of you might have, right? And where they are at that any given time. Yeah.
yeah, it helps provide context and really helps honor the three horizons in healthcare,
Mhm.
for their unique role.
Mm,
And so it helps focus more on the larger system of healthcare versus whether one specific person or department or institution is ready for a certain type of change.
mm,
It really helps define the fullness of the system in which we're operating.
mm. So one of the other things you mentioned was the seasons. That was something that resonated with you. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yes. The the I think to to work in the modern workplace is to be faced with an abundance of deliverables that seem never ending.
Mm,
And so that's just the world that we live in today. To drive change in organizations, there's always something that you're pushing forward.
mhm,
And there's seasonality in general around, I don't know, when your busy time of year is for the business. There's also seasonality in how change happens in institutions. And so to be able to look a little more holistically around, is the work progressing? Are we achieving our goals? To bring a little more nuance into that as to maybe this is a time when we pause for a second.
mm,
It's it helps make room for not considering everything as a win or a loss.
mm,
Again, it provides a model that really helps define how change occurs.
mm,
One way that I am trying to integrate this into my business, because you take these very thoughtful models and try to apply it to the nuts and bolts of the day to day, is I'm trying to work backwards in my strategic plan from not just the outcome, but the celebration. I don't know if we'll see how I do, but I think to assume that at the change of a season, one of my takeaways was that that's a time for pause and reflection and really uh, to we should mark those changes. And so that's one very tangible thing that I'm doing to try to integrate these regenerative principles into my internal work as I grow a company, but also my work with clients.
mm. I love that you say that. So it's taking a much more cyclical approach to things as opposed to the sort of maybe traditional linear thinking about projects where there's there's no end in sight sometimes, and having the cycles. And I love that you said that you start with the celebration and the time for pause and reflection, that as human beings we're all used to doing throughout the calendar year, if we look at that seasonal cycle of celebrations that coincide with certain seasons and moving into the next and thinking back about what you learned and what you can let go of. That's a great example. What else would you like to, anything else you'd like to raise up?
I think the other thing that we really focused on in the regenerative re, the other thing that we focused on in the regenerative change management course
Yeah.
is conscious leadership principles.
Mm,
And I think some of the takeaways that I were able to glean from that part of our cohort were really, what is a couple things? What is your system designed for? If you are, um, if a hospital is making a lot of waste in a certain system, then one of the things that system is designed for is waste. And so how can we design a system that achieves the same goals and doesn't have waste at the end? That's a very simplistic model. But you can think about the same thing in driving change in organizations. Organizations are made up of people, and to drive meaningful change, that entails engagement. And so, what is your team for? How do you want people to feel when they come to work with you and drive change? And what are the system elements that you can put into place so that we are working together in good faith, so that we are respecting the unique viewpoints and expertise that everyone brings to the program, and that we're evaluating, what are the incentives that make people act a certain way in a system. And I think that it helps us really look at, again, the need and the ability to change people as a way of changing the systems in a way that aligns with the culture of healthcare,
mm,
for myself, but also really the potential of the sustainability movement.
Mm. So some of the models that we went through, age-old change models of above and below the line and drama triangle and focusing on where you can and can't control things. It's all related to that work with people that you're talking about. Yeah.
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 That's great. Well, we've been excited, obviously, to have you as part of the cohort one and to use your example throughout the cohort that we're running right now, cohort two, and appreciate all of your contributions and thoughts, and wish you the best success in the work that you're doing. Look forward to staying in touch.
Thanks, Brad. It was such a pleasure participating with people all around the world who were doing this similar work across a whole host of settings,
Mhm.
and really great learning from you and Cynthia.
Thanks again.
Yeah, thank you.